Hi, my name is Bob and welcome to the Homestead, y'all. Well, today's May 19th. Last year we planted our tomato plants on May 19th. So I figured this year I'd plant them on the same day. We had a frost last week. So I think we're good this spring now. I don't think we'll have any more frost. We're forecast to be up in the 80s for the next week. As you can see behind us, this is our tomato grow that we grew 12-foot tall tomato plants last year. If you didn't see that video, I'll put the link in the description for it, but we kept up with our tomato grow all year. I'm going to do a little something different this year. I'm going to go ahead and record this video, but once a month I'm going to update you on how this tomato grow is doing and what we're doing to grow 12-foot tall tomato plants that are loaded with tomatoes. So every month we'll put out a new video. We'll show what we did for that month. So if you're not a subscriber, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, so that way you'll be notified when we post those videos. But as you can see, our cover crops, it's breeding season for the peacocks, so they're very vocal. But as you can see, our cover crops did great this year. I didn't let the chickens in here this spring like I did last spring. I decided to just let the cover crops go until we're ready to plant the tomato plants. So that way it keeps our soil healthier, all the microbes are going to be happy, and they'll have roots to feed on until our tomato plants put roots out, and that'll help keep the ecosystem underneath the soil healthy. So what we're going to do today is I put a new little gate on our tomato grow here so we can go in and out. I'm going to chop and drop this. So I'm just going to take my weed eater, I'm going to weed eat it as close to the ground as I can, and then I'll show you how we're going to plant our tomato plants in here and how we're going to support them. Last year we grew 12-foot tall tomato plants and the cages collapsed in the middle of August on us. So this year we're going to use cattle panels and rebar and 1-inch EMT conduit to hold them up. So hopefully they won't collapse this year. But for now, let's go ahead and chop and drop this, and then we'll plant our tomato plants, and I'll show you how to do that. Now it's got our cover crop weed eated down. What I did when I weed eated it, I just tilted my weed eater head to where I could cut as close to the ground as I can. Now we'll come back in here, we'll put landscape fabric down, and then we'll put compost, and we'll go ahead and plant our tomato plants for this year. I'm hoping in 2021 we're going to be able to beat our 12-foot record from last year, but we'll see. Finally time to plant our tomato plants. I have my down-to-earth BioLive and I have some bat guano in this bucket. So I've already made me a hole and I've dug down to the actual dirt that's under the cover crop that we chopped and dropped. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of bat guano, just 1 tablespoon of bat guano and 1 tablespoon of BioLive, and this will just give the plants something to feed on until they get their roots established. Once they get the roots established and get into this soil is so healthy, where we've had cover crops planted here all winter long, and we've put compost on it and wood stove ashes on it. I'm just mixing that in with the soil real good. Then we'll take our plant and just plant him straight in there. Now if you want, a lot of people plant their tomato plants sideways. I did test 25 years ago and it really didn't make that big a difference. If this was long and spindly, I might do that, but generally I'll just plant it straight in the ground. And you want to make sure you get these roots down into the actual soil below the cover crop residue. And then we'll just take and push this good compost around him, pull that leaf off, put him in there, and then packet everything down. So that way when it rains, it won't wash off. Of course, unfortunately, we don't have rain in the forecast for another 10 days. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on these and water these well and hope that they take off, even though we're not going to get any rain for a while. Okay, that's all there is to it. So that one's planted. To have it done, this is a Sweet 100. We're going to put a Sweet 100 in this hole back here. We're going to put an Amish paste in one of the front ones and a Mountain Pride in one of the front ones. So let's go ahead. I'll move the camera over and we'll go ahead and plant this one over here. All right, this is our second Sweet 100. I'm going to pull these bottom leaves off. And probably this one here, so that way we can plant it all the way up to there. We'll just take our little spade shovel. We'll do the same thing. We'll put a tablespoon of BioLive. Just kind of spread it around. And a tablespoon of bat guano and spread it around also. And then just mix it in with the soil real good. Pull this a little spot back. Plant our tomato plant in. And down in there and pull this compost in around it. I want those roots below the residue from the cover crop, so that way they'll get a good chance to get into the good soil, because once they get into the healthy soil that's underneath all this, they'll just take off. And then the rest of this compost, I'm just going to pack it around like that, and that'll help feed the tomato plant all summer long with good quality compost. Alright, that's our 2 Sweet 100s done. We'll move up here and we'll go ahead and do the Amish paste next. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. We'll put us a little bit of BioLive in there and a little bat guano. Just a tablespoon of each. Like I said, just spread it around good. And then mix it in with the soil well. Let's pull that back a little. This Amish paste, this bottom leaf, a little bit yellow. I'm just going to pinch that off with my thumbnail. It's not bad, but pinch him off. Get him planted down in there. Push our compost around and pack it a little bit. Then I'll come back with some water when I'm done with all 4 of these. I'll water it in real well. And I'll have to keep an eye on it because, like I said, we're going to be dry for the next 10 days. So that means watering it about every other day probably. Because I think we're going to be up in the high 80s by the end of the week. Alright, last one over here be the Mountain Pride. Just do the same thing, a tablespoon of each. And that'll feed our plant until the roots get established and get down into the good, healthy soil. Just want to get it mixed in real well. You can see the residue from our cover crops there. Piece of winter wheat. Alright. plant. I'm going to pull the bottom leaf or two off of this one also. Put it down in there. Make sure you pack the dirt around it good where the roots are covered all the way around where you don't leave an air pocket. I'm going to go ahead and take this other bottom leaf off. And that'll start a root right there. Okay, that has our 4 tomato plants planted. Hopefully by the end of the summer they'll be monster plants. Monster tomato plants, that's our goal. See how big we can grow them and how many tomatoes we can grow on them. So, that has all 4 of them done. Alright, well that has our 4 monster tomato plants in the ground. Has our 4 monster tomato cages up. I still have to finish up the guy wires on them. I am going to put guy wires on the top of it and come down to the 4x4 post over here. But hopefully by the end of the summer the tomato plants will be close to the top of these. These are 16 feet tall. These are cattle panels. We used 1.25 inch conduit, 10 foot long, drove it 3 foot into the ground till we hit solid rock. So that left about 7 to 8 feet on each one of these. And then we took hose clamps and hose clamped it to them, and then took 1/2 inch hose clamps and hose clamped the panels together. So we have 1/2 inch hose clamps all the way up and zip ties, and then we have hose clamps on the 1.5 inch conduit on it. So we'll see how this does. Hopefully it'll hold up this summer, and hopefully by the end of the summer we'll be at the top of these. But if you have any questions or comments on this, please leave them below. If you like this video, you're really going to like this one right down here or over here. And that was last year's grow where we grew 12 foot tall tomato plants in this same spot. So this year we only planted 4 plants. Last year we planted 16. So we're hoping to get more tomatoes off these by only planting 4. It's going to let sunlight all the way around them. Where last year was 16 plants in here, we were shading one side of the plants, and the tomatoes didn't get as ripe as quick. So hopefully that'll work. This will work better this year. But if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And thanks for watching.